If you've ever hit a goal and realized that it wasn't enough to fill that void inside, I have some good news for you. There is finally a scientific study showing us all about this. Now, there have been many studies that have aimed to evaluate this, but I found some very interesting data that kind of explains, at least to me, helped me understand better this whole phenomenon. So, Harvard psychologists found that almost half of our waking hours, 47%, are spent thinking about something that we are not doing. Imagine that. Almost half of your life, your mind is literally somewhere else, missing the moment now. And when your mind wanders, you're almost always less happy. Now, this isn't just your regular video on presence, so stick with me. I know how that sounded. Um, that was just the beginning. A new study from Emotion in 2024 followed over 1,800 people to see what happens when we constantly are evaluating our own happiness, because that's a lot of times what we're thinking about. We're thinking about, when we're not in the moment, different ways that we think we'd be happier. Take a second and, ironically, think about it. Pause, and when your mind's wandering, where is it wandering to? Almost always, it's a place that you think would bring you more joy than the moment you're in right now. Because if it wouldn't, then you'd have no utilitarian purpose of doing that thing, of going to that place in your head. So, people who keep a score of their happiness, who are constantly evaluating it in the current moment, always asking, am I happy enough right now? They end up, guess what? Less satisfied with life, more anxious, more disappointed, even when good things do happen to them. It's like chasing a shadow. The harder you reach for it, the faster it slips away. Like, all right, here's the way I like to think about it. When I was younger, I really wanted to seem stronger than I was, right? So if someone would ask me, like, what do you lift? I forget the exact number I said, but I said a number that I'd probably like, it was probably like my PR at a certain exercise. And then I went and lifted with that person. And when I got like 4 or 5 reps of it, but failed to hit my set of 8 at that weight, I'd never actually done that before, right? I should have been like extremely proud of myself. But because of the expectations I'd set for myself and the image I'd presented to that person, I was disappointed, even though I did better than I'd ever done before. And this is like often what we are doing with our happiness. People do this on social media all the time. Like, think about it. You post a picture, you think it looks great, you love your post, and someone else posts theirs, they get more likes than yours. And all of a sudden, you're comparing yourself to someone else's highlight reel. Or let's say you get the best grade you've ever gotten on a test, and then all of a sudden you realize that your friend got a little bit of a better grade than yours. You should be proud of yourself, but you're benchmarking it against something else, so then you're disappointed. People always think that they should be feeling more. This study from Emotion, it calls this evaluative overthinking. That's a mouthful. And it's wreaking havoc on especially Gen Z's mental health. It's not wanting happiness that hurts us. It's judging ourselves for what we feel. A lot of times I've seen this trend of us thinking that we need more to be happier. And when we derive joy from a simple thing, not believing that it was warranted. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you see like a plant on the street, or you see a flower that you find beautiful, and you say to your friends, especially if you're a guy, I think this works a lot more for the males listening to this. You see a flower on the street, you're like, oh, that's a beautiful flower. It makes me so happy. Everyone around you is going to be like, you're a loser. What do you mean that flower is bringing you happiness? In order to be happy, we need to have nice cars, be jacked with a six-pack, and be making 10K a month. Like, when did this happen? Where we think we need all of this, all these prerequisites to happiness. It is actually a respectable thing to be able to derive joy from less than somebody else, because you can be happier easier. That's not weakness. That's awesome, because we want to be happy. We don't want to have to do more to be happy. That's such a fallacy. So to go back to the study, there are a few things that I really took away. So people in the study who overanalyzed their happiness consistently reported lower life satisfaction. So that makes sense after what we've been talking about. And then even positive events didn't boost their joy because they were too busy asking, is this enough? Shouldn't it feel bigger? Shouldn't it feel more? We start to feel the thing and we're like, oh my God, I see it. You go and you reach for it and all of a sudden it slips through your fingers because you didn't just let it ride. You like wanted to grab onto it, latch it because it's what you've been going for. Then we feel like it should be more than it is. And then the kicker, those who simply aspired to happiness. So they didn't like ignore happiness as a goal. They want to be happy, but they weren't evaluating every moment to see where they are on that track. They were happier than ever. So wanting happiness is not at all the problem, but measuring it like it's a test you're failing, that's the problem. So the lesson that I've been learning, and I think it's kind of revolutionary, is that you should be happy for anything, no matter how small, as we were talking about. Like, practice this. And this is really goes back to gratitude, grateful podcast. Anything is something that you can derive happiness from. So you go outside, you smell the fresh rain. I love that smell. Let yourself smile. Don't feel embarrassed. Like, let that smile come to your face. First sip of coffee in the morning, enjoy it. The laugh with a friend. Find these simple moments and enjoy them. Be grateful for them. Don't be measuring your happiness, but be deriving joy. Open yourself up to the joy from these small moments. That's freedom. And it's liberation from the scoreboard of always trying to get bigger things to fill that gap inside. For me, where I do this the most is in rock climbing. Rock climbing is a very interesting sport. And for those of you that listen all the time, you'll know that I love it so much. But it is 99% failing. Like, I fall so much while I'm climbing. So much. I'm always falling. It's very rare for me to actually complete something unless it's too easy for me, right? But if I was only deriving joy from my successes, from the big moments where I topped out a boulder, I would be I would be miserable. But no, I'm finding joy in the moments where I do and move a little bit better, or I'm improving at this type of movement, or I feel stronger in my shoulder here, right? Like, those are the things that I'm deriving joy from, not the big success, but like the small things. And if we can find ways to do that in our lives, we're going to be so much more joyful, which is our goal. We should not be, again, embarrassed by deriving joy from small things. So today, I'm just going to end it with this. I want you to find at least one small thing that brings you joy. Drop it in the comments. Send me a DM. Let me know. I'm really excited to hear, because if we can all kind of get to this point where we are deriving joy from smaller things, we're all just going to be so much happier. Society will be so much better. So thank you for tuning into this week's solo episode of the Grateful Podcast. I'm sorry I haven't been publishing as many guest interviews recently. They're coming. I really am valuing high quality for you guys, because I think that is the way this podcast is going to grow. And I'm going to keep being able to get better guests on here to have better conversations and bring you, my listeners, more value. For now, what you can do to really help me out is go down, leave a review, subscribe wherever you're listening. And yeah, that'd just be huge for me, so I can keep, again, pitching this to bigger people, having better conversations, putting more money into it so it can look better and sound better. Thank you. I hope you guys have a great week.